This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
You're listening to the Pretend You're Fired Today podcast. And now, here's your host, Lisa Rangel.
Welcome and hello. Welcome to the 23rd episode of the Pretend You're Fired Today podcast. I am Lisa Rangel, host of the Pretend You're Fired Today podcast and founder of Chameleon Resumes. We are an executive resume writing, LinkedIn profile development, and job search consultancy company that helps executives and high potential leaders land their next position faster. I'm so glad you joined me here today. Today's podcast show topic is setting up your crush the interview mindset. That's what we're going to discuss today. And another name that I give this topic is the Dancing Skeletons episode, which I'll describe in a little bit, and you'll know what that means in just a moment. So we're going to discuss the ultimate way to prepare for an interview that will make you so confident that you will become a job offer magnet. Are you ready? All right, let's jump right in here. I want you to think of a couple of questions that you hope an interviewer does not ask you when you're on an interview. Right? So if you were about to go on an interview, you're preparing, there's always like one or two questions that you just hope to God the interviewer will not ask you. Do a few questions of this nature come to mind? Yes. Does it make you shudder a little thinking about it? You shift in your seat with some uncomfortability at the thought of being asked these questions and having to answer these questions? Some examples of these types of questions job seekers have told me that make them uncomfortable and they really don't want to be asked and they don't want to answer. They're sort of along the lines of these questions. I call these uncomfortable questions you don't like answering your skeletons. And some examples of these skeletons may be, one, do you fear about being asked about your rocky performance that you had in your last or current job in the interview? Another example is, did you have a less than favorable relationship with your direct boss in your recent role, and you're just dreading the interviewer asking that, tell me how well you worked with your boss question, because you know you're not a good liar and you don't want your body language to betray you. A third example is, do you draw blank when someone asks you that ever popular question, tell me about yourself? You're not sure how to handle these tough questions, these skeletons on an interview. So I say, take your skeletons out of the closet and make them dance. What? I can hear you thinking, what? What do you mean? This is a term from George Bernard Shaw, the author, where he said, if you can't hide the family skeletons, you might as well make it dance. And I say, bring it on. These tough, uncomfortable questions that an interviewer can ask you that you hope they're not going to ask, these are your skeletons. And I suggest to learn how to make these skeletons dance before you need them. Frankly, these questions may come up in a performance review discussion or a promotion discussion. So you're going to need to address these topics comfortably well before you even do a job search possibly. And the thing is that you know they're going to ask these questions most likely. So don't be in denial about these tough questions. Know that they're going to ask, even though you hope they don't. And I'm telling you, they're going to ask. So be ready. And not only be prepared, not only be ready, but answer confidently, diplomatically, address the tough question. I'm glad you asked that question is really what your response and your body language needs to be. Because when you answer these tough, uncomfortable questions sheepishly and squirming in your chair, I'm telling you, that's where the interview goes south. So I say bring it on, anticipate it, own your baggage, embrace the skeleton or family of skeletons if that's how you roll. And here's a news flash. Everyone has baggage. Every job seeker has these skeletons. How do I know? I hear all of your stories. No one comes to me telling me that they have a perfect background. And some of the baggage people tell me about, examples such as like sales numbers went south after unexpectedly losing a key client, or someone took the wrong job after like an awesome, long, progressive tenure with an employer, and then the next job is awful and they have to like leave after 6 months. Or someone's been underpaid because they didn't know how to negotiate early in their career, and the raises now have been built off that initial low salary and they haven't been able to get out from under it. Or maybe your boss undermines you. So the opportunity to create these resume-like achievements that you've heard me talk about is really hard for you to do, and the opportunities are limited. Or maybe your boss made promotion promises and then didn't keep the promise. So now you look like you're in a job too long without progression. And another example, and this is by no means an exhaustive list. This list can go on, but another example is maybe you started a company and that startup failed. But here's the thing, even people with perfect backgrounds on paper, with a new job every 6 years or promoted every 3 years, they have things that go wrong too that they don't want to be asked about. They have product lines they oversaw that failed, or they have high staff turnover because their company doesn't pay high salaries, or they have shrinking margins that they need to account for on their next promotion discussion or their next interview. So you now know that you're not unique in this way and that everyone has skeletons. Everyone has the questions they hope the interviewer doesn't ask. And now you know to own those questions confidently. And something miraculous happens when a job seeker, an interviewee, owns those skeletons amongst the sea of candidates that are not owning their skeletons. Here's the miracle. With all other things being relatively equal, in an interview process or a promotion process, the person who diplomatically, vulnerably, and proactively addresses their baggage and confidently owns their skeletons best on an interview, they win. They win the offer in most cases. Again, with all other things being equal. Why? Because companies don't just want the best performer in a perfect situation. I mean, that's easy. It's easy to look good when things are awesome and going the way that's planned. Companies want the best person who's honest about a business situation, is able to assess a needed plan when things aren't going as planned, and executes in the face of fear courageously, despite the imperfect conditions that exist to fix the adverse situation. And they fix it. Companies want the person who will get them out of the foxhole alive and continue to flourish. They don't want just the parade leader for when the weather's great, because those are easy to find. So be prepared. Own your baggage. Make that skeleton dance and win offers, win promotions. This is the secret to the solid mindset to crush your next interview or your next promotion discussion. Because when you know you can answer these questions that you really don't want to answer, and you know you can do it, there's nothing you can't do, and your confidence just soars. In past episodes, we talked about the only way to truly protect yourself from job loss is to pretend you're fired today, make a list of activities that you would do to start finding your next job. Doing proactive activities to keep yourself in demand when you don't need a job. This is the key element in the Pretend You're Fired Today podcast action list. Keep your network primed and active so you stay in the forefront of your network's mind to create demand for yourself consistently. You want to be in demand when you need it. So you need to build it before you need it. This way, if your job situation changes unexpectedly or opportunity presents itself even, you already have pent-up demand for what you do by doing these actions that I'm showing you here today. And as we said in episode 1, the first thing on this Pretend You're Fired Today action list is dusting off the resume, getting it up to speed. We covered this in the first 8 episodes on how to format your resume according to today's trends to gain maximum impact from your document. And then we spent the following 4 episodes focusing on your LinkedIn profile. The last few episodes covered a myriad of topics such as the 5 most common career mistakes that I see smart people make every day, insight on how to work with recruiters, how to set up informational interviews, ways to stay in demand with your competitors, and how to make job boards work for you. We've also talked about ways to connect with your network when you don't need them. And we even spoke about how to have fun when you're not working in the last episodes, so this way you can maintain a positive mindset. You're going to want to revisit those episodes, and there's even more topics than I've been able to mention here. I'm so proud of you of taking these steps to make yourself marketable when you don't need it yet. Most people wait. And then bam, that unexpected job change happens and they're scrambling and backpedaling to learn all this information. So kudos to you for learning and doing it before you need it. This is true career insurance and to keep yourself working consistently. My friend saved me with her priceless advice, Pretend You're Fired Today, and I'm paying it forward with you. I ask you to pay this sentiment forward and share it with as many executives and rising professionals who you feel will benefit from this build it before you need it advice. And remember, next few episodes, we're going to continue with the Pretend You're Fired Today podcast action list. We're going to go through a list of tactics and activities to do now, as if you were let go today, to ensure you're always ready for whatever the world brings your way. The first item on the list was the resume, which we cover in episodes 1 through 8. The second item on the list was updating your LinkedIn profile, which you can find in episodes 9 through 12. And the last few episodes, we covered a myriad, again, of career topics, such as ways to connect with your network, how to work with recruiters, 5 most common career mistakes. And today we covered how to be ready for interview questions that you hope they don't ask. So this way you have a mindset to be ready for whatever they bring your way, which will help you crush the interview and get you the offer. Doing preparation suggested in this episode will prepare you to interview confidently, whether you lose your job or you're being primed for a promotion and they need to talk to you about it. So do this no matter what. In our next episode, we'll discuss how to prepare success stories to crush that interview or that promotion discussion and get that offer. So to start, go to interviewprepsheet.com. Download our interview prep sheet to be ready for the next episode. We'll discuss creating star and car stories. So this way you're able to answer most interview questions successfully on an interview. Not sure what star and car stories are? Well, tune in for the next episode and find out. Until then, go to interviewprepsheet.com, download our prep sheet to be ready for the next session, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Be well.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.